What's up, everybody? It's Jordan here, and today I just wanted to talk to you guys about my first ever Nationals experience. It was 7 rounds. I went X2. I placed 18th place, which I say 18 because, as most of you know, there was a situation that happened in the final round. Most of you probably were there when it happened, so you saw me crash out a little bit. We'll go a little bit more into detail about that later in the video, but I just want to go over my matchups, talk about the deck list that I played. I played Kid Buu, which most of you know I play yellow. It's my favorite color. Kid Buu is one of my favorite characters, so I mean, he was strong. He's my favorite character. There's no choice. I was playing Kid Buu for Nationals from the day I knew I got my invite. Well, I got my invite before Kid Buu actually came out. But once I knew I was going out there, and Kid Buu was just the obvious choice for me. He's very good, very strong. So clearly they had to restrict it. So, but yeah. Other than that, I just want to go over the matchups with you guys. So, but before we get into that, if you are new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe. We're getting very close to 1,000 subscribers, and honestly, I've been kind of slacking, and we could have probably already been there, but we're gonna start pushing more content out again. I know I've been kind of slacking. I took a little bit of a hiatus, and life just hit me. So I definitely plan on dropping more videos though. But if you are new, drop a like on the video if you like the video. Subscribe to the channel, and let's get straight into the matchups. So round one was a Cell, which we all know Cell was probably the most represented deck there. So I practiced that matchup a lot. I was very comfortable facing Cell, even though it is considered probably the best deck at the moment. I was just very comfortable with it. I played the matchup so many times on the client with buddies, so I was very comfortable with that matchup. So 2 of my games were actually Cell. So round 1 started off pretty average. I did notice my opponent Char's instant Kamehameha, the extra card, which I barely ever see that card, so that definitely gave me a little bit of information of his deck. I think it was his first charge, and that game did come down to only about 5k. I think he dumped me. I don't know the exact details, but I was at 1 life, and he played the Cell Junior, dumped his hand. I got out by 5k, so very close game in round 1, but I pulled away with the win. So going into round 2 was actually Randoms. He's a pretty well-known player. Most of you probably know him, so shout outs to Randoms. And he was on Yellow Vegeta, which in theory is an auto win for Kid Buu, but man, Randoms, he put on a show with that deck. That game was very fun. Early on, he was able to get out 2 Buhans before I could even get mine out, and he even wasted a turn not swinging with leader, just really stalling me out. But about mid games, our hand size was still, roughly the same, so I was able to start awakening myself, and I was able to stick a Buhan, stuff like that. He had a Rinsu, which is a really interesting tech, but I respect it. He never swung with it. He just kept resting the Rinsu itself just to get the draw, And I ended up pulling off the win there. It was very close, and like I said, even though it's supposed to be an auto win, he clearly had practiced that matchup a ton, because he knew how to beat it. So, but I did pull away with the win there. So I'm very happy about that one. Round 3 was our first mirror match for the day, and unfortunately that was my first loss. He just got too many 5 and 4 combos. I had to waste a lot of my time just stunning his board, stunning with Goku's, the 2-cost Buu, and it just got out of hand. And at one point I had to try to push for game, and he had too much combo power. So that's kind of just how the mirror goes. Can't really do much about it, but yeah, I did take the L there, so unfortunate there. Round 4 was Golden Frieza, which shocked me, I'm not gonna lie. I did not expect him, but he was running the Ginyu package in Golden Frieza, and I did mulligan my hand, which I had a Piccolo Buu, which is like really good for Ginyu package stuff, but I was not expecting it. And a little bit midway through the match, I was able to search for it, and I found it. It really came in clutch, helped me clear some of his board. But to be honest, I think the only reason I won because we obviously know Golden Frieza can cheat out at 6 cost for free or for 1 energy at the end of its turn, and he charged 2 of the 6 costs. Like I think his first 2 charges were just 6 cost, 6 cost, and so that was really good for me because I was like, there's no way he has 4 in the deck, so there's probably only 1 more, and I kind of expected him to have it in hand, and that's why like he was charging the other 2. But going into my turn 5, he played out the blocker to stun my my energy, which kind of does the same thing. I can't play a 5 cost at that point because I only have 4 energy to use. But then the next turn, at the end of his turn, he also played out another 5 cost, not the 6 cost. So I was able to go into my turn 6 with 6 energy, and I was able to play a 5 cost. I charged 2 of my double strikers early on, so maybe he thought, I didn't have another one, but I think it was more he just didn't see his last 6 cost. And I mean, yeah, I was able to find a third double striker, a little bit later in the game. I had a 4 cost in my hand. He had 2 blockers, but my 4 cost, just rested them, and I just dumped for game for like 100 or something like that. He didn't even show me his combo. He just shook my hand and kept it moving. But honestly, I think I got a little bit lucky on that one, because if that 6 cost came out that last turn, I wasn't surviving another turn. There was just no way. His board was insane. So we grabbed the win there. And round 5 was another mirror match. That one I did a pretty interesting play. My opponent had 5 cards in hand. I was at 6 energy. I played the Buuhan. I swung with the Buuhan to get him to 6 in hand. And I just played my crit. I didn't swing with it. I just popped it with the Buuhan right away. Made him discard a card. I drew a card. I played out my 4 cost from my hand. I put it in the drop and then play it. And was able to draw another card off of that. And that's when things kind of started going a little bit more in my favor, because I was able to stall him pretty well. Still a very close game. The guy was pretty good player. I will give him that. He definitely knew how to play the mirror match, and we talked about it more, and he said he was very, very comfortable and very good at the mirror match, and he definitely was. It was a close one. So but I snagged the win. Round 6 was another mirror match, and that one, I don't know how I got out of that one. So when the kid was going for game, he had 3 of his 4 costs still standing, and then he played a double striker into Buff Boo. When he played the double striker, he just dumped, because I was at 2 life. He dumped. I think he dumped to like 70 or something like that. So nothing crazy, but he still has 5 more 30k swings coming my way, and it was very, very scary. So it ended up coming down to, he used his Buff Boo to pop one of the 4 costs to draw 1 more card. If that card was a 10k, I lost. It was a 5k. So he swung for 35 for the last swing, and I had 1 more super combo in my hand. I left it just for that, just in case, and I got out of it. He had like 3 double strikers on board, 3 of the 4 costs. He played out the last double striker, when he was going for game, and I mean, that was very, very stressful. I truly don't know how I won that game, but I think that's just where the experience of the mirrors came in hand, and I mathed it really well. I did perfect numbers on my defense, because I knew this guy's going for game. It doesn't matter about the cards in my hand. I'm not clapping back on him. And funny enough, my last card was another double striker. Just played it and swung and killed him. So we won that one, and so we're going into round 7. We're now X1. We're feeling really confident. We're this close to getting into day 2, getting into top 16, which is no feat to. It's really good. I kind of mumbled that one, but bear with me. But going into round 7, we all know what happened, or for the most part. Some of you might not. I can explain it a little bit. I'm not going to name any names for, to protect myself, protect, anything that could come my way. So not going to mention any names, but for the most part, we all know who it is. So going into round 7, it's another sell. Like I said, very, very confident in this matchup. So midway through that match, my opponent had swung with leader for 40 and drew a card. I took the hit because I was taking the 40k hit, and then he played out his Android 16, the 2 cost, and that's when it kind of clicked. I was like, wait a minute, you never proc leader effect. You never met that requirement yet. And so me and my opponent, we both were understanding. We noticed the mistake. We called the judge just to get it fixed. Judge came over. He we explained what happened. The judge said we have to we both showed each other our card. He can't confirm what card I had. I can't confirm what card he had. I think maybe the judges should have done like a random pick from hand, because we can't necessarily confirm, each person's card. But let alone we both revealed the card. He put it back on top of his deck for his draw, and I put it back on my life. Basically, the judge said the attack has to count as a 20k, because we rewound it to like the leader swing and stuff like that. It has to be a 20k swing. You can combo out now. We proceed with the game, and I would say another 2 minutes kind of go by. My opponent is thinking, and then he just calls judge again. So, because he was arguing that if that what I argued was an accepted board state, then what his argument was, why isn't this an accepted board state? And basically, like, he was making up stuff to where he said he swung with the leader first, and then he had a 2-cost Daimaku, but I know for sure he swung with the 2-cost Daima Goku, and then he swung with leader, and then he proceeded to play out the 2-cost Android 16. And that that's when it all clicked with me, and it was like, wait a minute, you never procced your leader effect. So he was telling the judge, I swung leader first, because I wanted to get that 40k pressure and stuff like that. And I know for a fact he swung 30k with the 2-cost Daimaku. So like I said, after the judge left, he waited like 2 minutes, didn't really do anything. He's looking through his drop, whatever, and then just calls the judge back again. And at this point, it's a second judge call. The judge that originally was at the first judge call came back, and he was getting a little bit of confusion, so head judge had to come over and assess it. So head judge came over, he listened to my opponent's story, he listened to my story, and I'm not going to explain what the stories were, but inevitably we did a rewind. Step by step we did the rewind. And at first it was looking like it was completely in my opponent's favor. I was definitely getting a little bit irritated, wasn't showing it, but in my head I was like, what's going on? But then the final step of the rewind, the judge said the attack was declared, we cannot technically rewind the declared attack. And that's when I was like, man, this judge did a perfect rewind for and not even just to like benefit me, but it was fair. You know what I mean? It was genuinely a fair rewind. So shout outs to the judge for that one. I couldn't even be mad about that. So, we did the rewind. At this point, it's very, very close to overtime. And they gave us a 10-minute extension. I could have probably argued that because it felt like the whole, interaction was about 20 minutes, with the first judge call, the second judge call. I think the time that was extended was only for the second judge call. So I probably could have argued that, could we get maybe 15 minutes or something like that? Because is the time only for the second judge call, or are we adding that first one? Because, since the first judge call, there was no further, game state. It was the same exact board state. Nothing happened. And then we get to overtime. We're everyone's done. We're the last people playing. So the whole venue is kind of behind me. I have the open venue behind him. He has more tables behind him, so nobody's really behind him. And so yeah, when we were, everyone is done. We're facing each other in, still technically regular time, because we have an extension. Everybody else is done, and we have more time. So we're literally the only people in the entire venue playing. And this is the last round, confirmed last round. So we were the last people to play for day one. And then we get to overtime, and in overtime I'm moving super fast because I know this guy's gonna try to slow play me. He's proficient at it. He knows how to do it. He does it all the time. And I'm moving lightning fast. I'm swinging. I'm playing cards. I pass. I'm playing quick because I know what this guy's gonna try to do. And then basically the final play. I'm at 2 life. I have a 4-cost blocker, not the Naruto Buu, but the promo. But I confirmed with his board state, with his drop and his energy, he had no chance of removing my 4-cost. And then he started to do a really, really weird slow play. He swung with leader. I declared no block. He takes some time. He thinks about his combo, what he wants to do. He puts down a 10k, so he's swinging for 50. He did proc leader effect this time, so he's swinging for 50. Then he proceeds to grab his own drop. Look at his own drop, which that was like, what in your drop is, what do you need to look at in your own drop, right? Puts his drop back, asks to see my drop, and I have to let him really look at it. I could have been like, yo, you don't really need, I could have said something, but I'm trying to be a fair player. So I give him my drop. He looks at it, he's clearly looking for supers, how much 10Ks. But in my opinion, he's just slow playing the clock. So he gives me my drop back, I put it down. He thinks, and he adds another 10K. And this is just really weird because he has no more actions after this. He has nothing. He's tapped out. There's nothing else on the board to swing with. And he's swinging 60k. Of course I'm taking it. I'm trying to kill you next turn. You just gave me 2 10Ks for no reason. And then he passes. I reset quickly. I swing leader. He, of course, takes time to combo. And then I swing with my 4-cost. And right after I swing with my 4-cost, time got called. And I crashed out. I didn't throw my cards. I kind of placed them down, but a little bit aggressively. And I proceeded to cuss this guy out. I mean, there's no, beating around the bush. I said some things that were a little out of pocket. When I walked away, I talked about beating him up in a more aggressive way. But, maybe I shouldn't have said that. I'll admit, that's a little bit wrong. I'm not a very, I don't fight, you know what I mean? I'm not a very dangerous person. I'm very, very relaxed. But when I get upset, I get upset. I think anybody in my position would have done the same. Some may have even done worse. So I think I held my cool pretty decently for who I am. And I walked away, and I was very upset. Judges, I can't even really blame the judge. They were just doing their job, and clearly this player makes it hard for them because he had multiple judge calls throughout the entire day. Literally in round 2, he was not my opponent, obviously, but the table next to me, he's calling judge over a dice roll. It's crazy. So, I did crash out a little bit, and I walked away. I probably could have asked the judge, like, hey, he took a lot of time on, in this overtime. I didn't even get a full turn. Can I just finish my turn? Judge probably would have gave it to me, to be quite honest. It was clear as day. I was going to beat him. I had double strike buff Buu. He had like 3 cards in his hand. He said 3 life. Like, I was killing him. I've been in that situation many a times. There was no way he was living that turn if I just got my turn. But yeah, I mean, that's really all there is to it. He slow played me. That cost me the round, and I went X2, and it bubbled me out of top 16, and I placed 18th. Which realistically, 18th place for my first ever nationals. I'm very proud of how I played. I genuinely don't think I made a single mistake the entire weekend. I had like a questionable play during like a 3v3 versus Doc. Shout outs to him. I like restood my 4-cost instead of my 5-cost into his Omega, which realistically you want to restand your 5-cost because then you can't get rid of it. But I restood the 4-cost, so it's like that was like a questionable play. But my only debate there was like I had 2 more double strikers in my hand. I did not have another 4-cost. I wanted the 4-cost to stick. But I'm very proud with the way I played. I put a lot of time and practice into this deck, building it and just practicing it, on the client with my homies. Shout outs to all the friends. They really, really helped me. get to where I am as far as like my knowledge in the game, my skills in this game, and yeah, like I said, I couldn't be more proud. I played very, very well. I definitely think I've come a long way with my skills in the game, and just efficiency, deck building. Honestly, I think I love deck building more than ever. But yeah, I mean that's how it went. We ended up the day X2. Like I said, a little unfortunate. I got bubbled out due to the situation that happened. But now you guys know what happened. If you weren't there, now you know. But other than that, I want to show you guys my deck list. I know this deck list can't really be used anymore because restrictions to the Double Striker and Buff Boo. Maybe you're not. Maybe I will come up with a deck list, for a future video for this leader, because I don't think he's dead. He's just not as consistent. He'll definitely whoop some ass against a few decks for sure still, but he's definitely just not as strong. But other than that, we're gonna hop right into the deck list. All right, so to start off the deck list, normally I go in order, but we always start off with the super combos. I just use my chiles, no real reason. There's no searching for super combos in this deck, so have at it, use whatever you like. I've been using these super combos for a while now though. Starting off with the 1 cost, we have 3 Yamus. Normal cantrip, draw 1 on play. Only real reason to use Yamu over any other cantrip is because it can, become a blocker with the 2 cost Bobbity and stuff. Realistically, I don't ever do that. I kind of wanted to just throw in like my shiny Piccolos or something, but we stuck with it for good reasons. The other 1 cost is the Bibbidi Searcher. I had a lot of debate about this card, and I've come to the conclusion it's just needed. It finds your pieces. If you're worried too much about bottom decking double strikers and super combos, then you're not thinking right. This card came in so clutch so many times, finding me exactly what I needed right when I needed it. It's a 4 of. It's put in so much work that weekend, and I couldn't be happier with the performance from this card. Starting off with the next 1 cost, we have 4 of your Majin Buu Pure Evils. Reprints of the 1 cost Frieza, which we also have 3 of the 1 cost Frieza. I think we all know what it does. Tap 1, you rest any of your opponent's battle card. 10k, pretty much exactly what yellow does. This is our equivalent of like the Zamasu's, popping 1 cost, but it's even better because we get to swing into your 1 cost, so we're just stalling you out. So these are all the 1-drops, 7 of these, 7 of the cantrip, 3 cantrips, and 4 searchers. So moving on, we have our first 2 cost, which is the obvious 2 cost Bobbity. I think we all know what it does. This just restands everything in your deck to become a blocker. It can restand this, cannot restand this, and obviously can't restand Frieza. But just about everything else in the deck, it can restand it at the end of your turn and turn it into a blocker. And this has barrier, so it's never going to get removed. Which realistically, if this didn't have barrier, the card would be trash. The only other 2 costs, which is the only 2 cost like real card that you're attacking with, is I run 3 of the Majin Buu Good. This card is great. It's one of your Self-Awakeners, so on play, take a life. Optional, so you don't have to take a life. When attacking, you get to stun a 5 cost. This card has put in so much work. It honestly is very good for like into Omega, because a lot of times, if they get 2 of the 5 costs on board, you can't really stun both, and I don't want to tap 4 for the Goku. This, allows you to swing at something on, either face with, cantrip, because it is only a 15k. If this was a 20k, I would honestly prefer the 5k stat line, 20k attacker would be so much better. But the deck does kind of have, minimal 10k, so it's probably better it's a 10k. But yeah, again, like into Omega, if they get out 2 5 costs, you leader effect with your 4 cost to stun it, and then this is just another card to stun another 5 cost, and it puts in a lot of work. It's absolutely needed in the deck. I ran it at 4 at first, but with the deck space, it just, I found it down to 3. It's not like it's winning you every game, and realistically 4 costs are stuff that you absolutely need to see almost every single game. There's games you're not going to play it. If you're hitting all your notes and hitting your curve, you're not even going to need to play it, because you're just going to dominate. The next card, starting off with our 3 costs, we have 2 of the Crit Buu. I wanted to run it at 3. It is a dead card, but it's a very, very good card. Swinging crit is no joke, especially when it's 25k. You know, if it's a 20k, you know, they can combo out with a 10k if they don't want to take the hit. But it being 25 is just really, really good. And obviously its when KO'd effect is just makes it even better. When KO'd, you get to discard 1 card from your hand. If your leader is Majin Buu, which obviously we're Majin Buu, you get to play a 4 cost or less with Majin Buu Kid from your drop. So the play would be to remove the card or discard the card that you're gonna play, which we'll talk about that one. The next 3 costs, which this card is a slept on card in my opinion, at least it was until I kind of started talking about it a lot more. We know it as Piccolo Buu, but it's, you know, Majin Buu Evil. It's only at 2 because it's only for very specific matchups. With Starter Frieza being a little bit back in the meta during Nats, which we did see a couple of those throughout the weekend. This card is really, really, really good into Starter Deck Frieza, as well as even into Omega, because you can pop their Vegeta on curve. If you hit this on curve and then this on curve, you can keep swinging at face, restand it. It's not going to get killed unless they put it back in your hand or bottom deck it with like a not a Nataron, with one of the Shenron 3 costs or something. But super clutch. During LCQs, I actually got 2 of these out during a against a Starter Frieza, and I just kept clearing his board. But yeah, it's only at 2 because it's not for every matchup. A lot of times you will charge it, but it's really, really good. So these are kind of your 2 optional turn 3 plays. This one, you know, is probably the better turn 3 into most matchups, but this one is for very specific matchups. Next card is the one of Babidi. We all know what it does. When this card gets KO'd, your opponent has to discard 1 card, and the obvious choice to be paired with that would be your 3-cost Buuhan. This pops this. You're going to draw off this. They're going to discard 2 cards because this is when KOing a card, you know, they discard 1. This also being KO'd, they discard 2. So when your opponent's at 7 in hand, if you can see this on turn 3, you're golden. Especially if you can't get like a cantrip to stick on turn 1, because turn 2 you really want to stick your Babidi. If you don't get a cantrip on turn 1, it's very hard to play this, and that's why I do have my optional turn 3s, which if you don't have the cantrip, this is probably better. You're critting your opponent, which is essentially keeping a card out of your hand. And then if this sticks, next turn you just play this to pop this so that you can still play out a 4 cost, and then you can maybe even play another cantrip. If this sticks for 1 more turn, that cantrip you played on turn 4 will just be popped next turn. So you're just getting so many draws and discard from your opponent with this card. It's an automatic 4. If anyone running 3, you're kind of just crazy. I did test with it at 3 a little bit, but it was just like, dude, you need to see it. The next 3 costs, which some people might disagree with it, but I ran Bufu at 3. My reason for running it at 3 is because you're never, ever, ever playing this on turn 3. Like, ever. It's only to push for game. We all know what it does. It's a double 30k swing. You KO one of your battle cards, it restands. So you do have to kill something on your board, which is fine. But yeah, very, very good card. Obviously, they had to restrict it to 1. But like I said, it's never your ideal turn 3. I don't think I've ever played this on turn 3 like in a very, very long time. So I only have it at 3 just to create some more space for like some 10Ks and stuff like that, and also create space for this guy. I had to create space for this guy. Very clutch card. Starting off with the 4 costs, most known yellow card in the whole game. 4 cost Goku. It's one of the biggest staples. I don't see many yellow decks that don't have it. It's literally in almost every single yellow deck. But I only ran it at 2. It is more of a card to set up, going for game. You can stun some board. It's really, really good in the mirror when your opponent just gets a little bit out of hand with their 5/4s. You can stun them, and then, hopefully push for game the next turn. The next 4 costs is the first 4 costs to actually turn on your leader effect, because if you don't know, leader effect, when you have a 4 cost or more Majin, or card with Majin in its special traits, you just get a free stun. So the first 4 costs, we go with the new promo. And this deck, or this card, is honestly was super clutch going into Nats. If we didn't have this card, with the current meta that we were at, I think it would have been even more of a tough time. I heard a lot of people not running it. They said they don't like it. It's just so good. It's a 10k. It's searchable. It pops a 3 cost on curve. There's a lot of 3 costs that I wanted to deal with in this meta, like Namaku, the 3 cost double attacker. I wanted to kill that thing sometimes. It's just better to just play this, pop something, because you can pop something and stun something, because it does meet your leader's requirement. So I have it at 3, very good card. I could see running it at 2, but I ended up coming up with 3. So I did the 3-3 split on these guys. At first I was doing 4-2, but I just found it so much better to just go 3-3. The next 2 cards are the most obvious cards. You have your 4 cost Naruto-bu, as we're all kind of calling it in the community, because doing the Naruto run. This card's just, it's amazing. It's one of the cards that holds Yellow Vegeta back. It gate-capped Yellow Vegeta a little bit. That deck is very strong. And this card just cannot be KO'd. It can be bottom deck, it can be removed, but it cannot be KO'd. On play, you rest all of your opponent's battle cards with 5 or less and their energy. It doesn't matter, it's just all cards. So very, very strong, and that's why it's very good for into Yellow Vegeta, because Yellow Vegeta plays extras, restanding 2 at the end of the turn. And then when this thing gets KO'd, either by him or your buff boo, when you're trying to push for game, you just draw another card off of it and still rest your opponent's board. So obvious 4 of, I don't think we need to talk too much about that one. And last card, Double Striker. There's a reason this card got restricted to 1. It's a little unfortunate because it really is like Yellow's only true Double Striker. The Golden Frieza is just kind of ass in my opinion. But I don't think the issue with this card is this card. It's more of the cards that can play out, because it does cheat out a body. You get to play 1 battle card with a cost of 4 and homogeneous special traits from your hand. So obviously we know the combo, 5 into 4. You're playing 5. You're putting a 30k on board. You're resting your opponent's board. You're drawing another card, and then you're just putting tons of pressure. So just the obvious 4 for both of these cards. Other than that, obviously we know the deck did get restricted, so these 2 cards are going to have to end up coming out, and then 3 of these cards are going to end up having to come out. So we will end up coming up with a new deck list, trying to fill in these 5 spots. But other than that, I felt very, very confident with this list. I will admit, I take advice from, the whole community. I look at other people's deck list, I test their deck list, I test my own deck list. And I can confidently say, like, this just feels like it was my list, you know what I mean? I didn't just copy and paste anyone's list. I was very, very adamant about putting this card in the list, and a lot of people just were slacking and not even thinking about this card. I'll admit it was a little bit of fear of like starter Frieza, but it's also just very good into Omega, which Omega is probably one of the other scarier decks for this leader to face. But I also know how to face that one. It's not the hardest, but it can get a little rough. But other than that, if you did like the video, make sure to drop a like, and we will be back pretty soon with a Yellow Vegeta FB08 deck list. So I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace.